Barbarian is no better than a number 2. I mean, for him to get $40-some million from the Vikings, that was insane. That said, the Bears don't have anybody who's close to him right now. I will say, Marty Booker is an upgrade over Musa Muhammad. I really believe that.
I agree, too.
Yeah. But you still don't have anybody equal to Bernard, and he's only a number 2. So, you know, I don't know how you can say that.
Butch, you played the position where the quarterbacks need time to throw the ball. Running backs need some holes from that offensive line. Was Chris Williams the right pick in the first round?
I'm a Brandon Albert fan, so no. However, as you've seen things go along, and the Bears weren't picking up any free agent guards. I mean, Jacob Bell was out there, Jake Scott was out there. You know, Jake Scott, I think, actually replaced Jacob Bell with the Titans. I mean, you had a shot to get those guys, but was it too much money guaranteed is why they didn't get them. John St. Clair is going to be a factor in this, whether people know it or not. I mean, you can't start Chris Williams and like Metcalf. I mean, St. Clair showed some things in a run game towards the end of the year where he's able to work with Kreutz. Maybe, is Larry Allen, does he have anything left? Can we bring Larry Allen in?
Well, let me ask Dan and Hub as we wrap up this segment. You look at the offensive line, Olin Kreutz and Roberto Garza are really the only 2 guys that will be playing the position this year that they played a year ago in 2007. So is this a better offensive line for the Bears this year opposed to last year? Well, you add to that, though, that John Tate will be playing a position he's better suited to play at this stage of his career, so that's a good thing. You know, Butch, our job's a big part of it is to talk to as many people as we can to get these ratings and prospect grades and things like that. And the overwhelming majority of the scouts I talked to felt Brandon Albert was a better projection than Chris Williams right now, and maybe eventually as a left tackle. The story on Chris Williams is he may be the more athletic, prototypical pass-protecting left tackle and have a great career. The big problem right now, guys, is he's not signed. And they're waiting for the guys around him to get signed. So he, because of the slotting with rookies, he may not be there for a little while. There's not a lot of positions harder to play in the NFL as a rookie than left tackle. And so now, you know, you say, are they better with him? Maybe, maybe not, but they're certainly not better with him out of camp and behind the curve. Dan?
And I'm going to disagree with both of you guys. I really like the pick of Chris Williams. I think he was the perfect guy for the Bears. He's NFL ready. I think he is a mature guy, and I think he's a guy who's a prototypical left tackle who's played the position, technique savvy. If you look at Albert, you're seeing a guy who's played left tackle, I believe, in 2 games over the last season, and a guy who is a projection, and you're not sure if he can play that position. Now, if you want to draft him as a guard, maybe that's a different story. But I don't think you would take a guard. I personally wouldn't want a guard with the, where did they pick? 14th pick in the first round. I think you can get guards other places. You want to use that pick on a position that's a premium position, a position that's hard to fill.
So much uncertainty on offense, but what about the defense? Will the D be the same defense that carried this team to the Super Bowl? That's next here on the Sunday Night Roundtable on CLTV.
Yeah, big Brandon Albert fan. I just thought he could have came in and started that guard.
You're watching CLTV's Sports Page.
They tried to take everything we had. They froze our accounts. They levied our accounts for over $17,000, threatening to imprison my husband. I'm not an actor, and none of the people appearing in this commercial are actors. Thousands of law-abiding Americans have turned to power tax relief. Honest people, just like you, whose circumstances left them owing more taxes than they could pay. We ended up taking our $140,000 in tax debt and paid it off for $20,000. You can bet that the IRS will have lawyers working on your case. Don't take a chance without your own legal help.
They took my $48,000 tax debt down to $400. This is a company that really does do what they say they're going to do.
If you owe more than $10,000 in taxes, it's time to call Power Tax Relief, the most trusted name in tax relief, because the relief is real.
Call 800-517-1783. 800-517-1783.
Boo them all you want, he's tough. Every time you hit somebody, pow, they went, ooh!
Yeah, I'd love to fight in Chicago, you know?
Chicago's a great town. Jim, I want to thank everyone at CLTV. It's going to blow people's minds, man. Yeah.
Combat Wire.
It's a mandatory team drill. I mean, everyone's here that's supposed to be here. So, you know, it says mandatory, you're supposed to be at those things. So that's why I'm here.
Urlacher, part of the Bears bandwagon, looking for a few more bucks. Now that he's in his 30s, he showed up at the team's workouts this offseason. Obviously there to show that he's healthy, coming off the neck surgery, and hoping to get the money he's looking for. Will he get it?
Money? No. I think the Bears' best offer is on the table. You know, whether it's fair or not, I don't know. If other things are going well and they say, hey, it's to our advantage to get some good pub, maybe they'll offer him a couple more bucks, but he's not looking for anything dramatically better than what they've offered. Or he's looking for it, he's not going to get it.
What are you hearing?
You know, I think I agree with Hub that most of the negotiation is over at this point. If Urlacher decides to take what the Bears have offered, which is not what he wants, then, you know, there will be kind of a feel-good and this will happen. But otherwise, he'll just continue. I think there's no chance.
Any chance he's a disruption in training camp?
No. He will show up for camp. He will do his job. He will be Brian Urlacher, and he'll probably make the Pro Bowl.
Does he deserve more money? Does he deserve what he's looking for?
Well, you could always make the argument from his perspective, from his agent's perspective, that he's not as highly paid as some other players who are not as good as him. However, from the Bears' perspective, you know, he signed this deal several years ago, got his big bite of the apple, took the big signing bonus, got the guaranteed money then. So I think they have a perfectly legitimate argument to say, you know, you're good. We took care of you.
You know what's interesting is Brian is going to be the rare exception. When you hear about these 8, 9, 10-year contracts, $50, $60 million, they never get that. You know, he's actually going to get most of that, and so in that context, $56 million over 9 years, not bad. He's probably $15 million short in total, and maybe $5 to $7 million short in the guaranteed money. And my understanding is they've offered the $5 million in guaranteed money. So this is a case where the Bears aren't necessarily wrong.
Dick Butkus lasted 9 years in this league. Mike Singletary 12 years, and under the current contract, that would take Urlacher to 12 years. Can this guy play longer than 12 years, in your opinion?
Well, I think the linebacking core right now probably has 2, maybe 3 tops together. And that's just my opinion from watching what goes on. Plus the makeup of the team. I think the team, is there a lot of guys on 1-year contracts this year, or 1 year left on their contracts?
No, they're not
Okay,
at all.
so if you're looking at your core of guys together, 3, Urlacher could probably make it. I don't know if Hillmeyer is going to be around. Lance Briggs, probably. Can he make the length of the contract? I don't think he's going to.
Did he get better or worse as last season went on?
Urlacher?
Yeah.
I think he leveled off.
He was hurt.
He was hurt?
Yeah.
But he points out, what, 5 interceptions, 5 sacks?
Better. He had a period during the season when his play probably suffered a little bit, but I thought late in the year he turned back.
I think the last 5 games, there were some numbers I saw. It was on your column or your paper. He had a phenomenal last 5 games. You look at the numbers, just the interceptions and the tackles. But guys, Brian Urlacher is an NFL defensive MVP. There's not many of them out there. What's interesting about this year and this team is that I believe that Mike Brown is the MVP of the Bears defense, if this makes any sense, even though Brian's a league MVP. And Brownie looks great, you know, and nobody should be surprised, because if anybody's going to work to get out there and do it, it's Mike Brown. So I feel like I've been Mr. Gloom and Doom here, because we've been talking offense. On the defensive side of the ball, it's going to take an interesting set of events, but if Brownie's back to being Mike Brown, if Urlacher's healthy, if Wally Agunleye decides to show up again, if Nate Fasher and Peanut Tillman and Tommy Harris are all healthy, there's no reason this won't be one of the top 3 defenses in the NFL again, and I think there's a good chance it'll happen.
Could be a very good defense. I think the biggest if that you mentioned, though, is if Mike Brown can stay healthy. Yeah. He often looks good at this time of year and then just does not sustain it. Obviously, though, I mean, you think if this guy had stayed healthy throughout his career, we could be talking about a guy now who might be, you know, perennial Pro Bowler, maybe eventual Hall of Fame candidate. It's just a pity. It seems like he cannot stay healthy. And as he ages, it's not going to get any easier to stay healthy. His body's going to break down more and more, probably.
All right, we're going to talk about the defense. We've been talking about leaders like Mike Brown. Might Urlacher be handing over the torch to the Bears' new leader? That's coming up next on our special Bears training camp preview here on the Sunday Night Roundtable on CLTV.
That's why Urlacher later in the year keeps going.
You're watching CLTV's Sports Page.
Tara Gielig is a real Geico customer, not a paid celebrity. So to help tell her story, we hired the Pips.
Not long ago, I was in a car accident.
Ooh, bender, bender.
With Geico's Auto Repair Express, the adjuster, repair shop, and rental car were all right there.
Rental car smells like sunshine.
To top it off, my rate stayed the same.
take a train to Happy Town. Woo-hoo!
Geico. Real service, real savings.
If you're remodeling any portion of your house, you can't afford to miss this information. It's the information retailers don't want you to see.
Our whole entire house of cabinetry was going to come to a little over $60,000. Direct Buy came back with $38,000, so the savings is almost too good to be true.
One of the estimates that we had gotten was $10,000 to redo this small bathroom. It ended up costing us, with everything, including labor, under $3,000.
Just on our kitchen alone, we saved almost $10,000.
It adds up to about a $30,000 to $40,000 savings overall.
Call the number on your screen now to receive your free insider's guide to buying direct. Plus, you'll also receive a free visitor's pass for an exclusive tour of your local Direct Buy showroom. Call the number on your screen right now to get started buying the Direct Buy way. Stop paying retail and become part of Direct Buy, the private, members-only showroom and design center. Don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone and call now.
We're Chicago. We need our own place to watch video. And now we've got it. To see the best Chicago video, visit ChicagoLive.com.
The Bears' defense was nowhere near as good last year as it was during the Super Bowl season, but it did get better towards the end of the year. Now, why were the guys finally mastering the defense behind Bob Babich as coordinator instead of Ron Rivera, who was there during the Super Bowl season? Was it because of the defensive coordinators? Huh?
I wouldn't blame Bob Babich. I think Bob Babich is a good football coach. I think Ron Rivera is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. And
maybe it just took time for them to...
Well, no, I'll go a little further. I think firing Ron was insanity. I don't know how much of it was Lovey wanting to be able to keep tighter control over a defense that his best friend is now coaching. Not accusing, I don't know. But I do know that there was a clear fall-off. People will argue the injuries as well. The reality is the injuries weren't all that different. Brownie went down in the Super Bowl year 2. Tommy Harris went down the last 5, 6. Now, part of the problem last year is that Tommy was never healthy. He was heroic. He was out there playing on one leg part of the season, and he's a key to that defense in the 3 technique, and arguably the best 3 technique in the league. So at the end of the day, I think it was all these things. I think it was the injuries. I think it was the change, and I never felt that they got locked in to the system that they wanted to be in. They were really a pure Tampa 2 team in their Super Bowl year. Last year, when they got better, it was because Babich started gambling more and blitzing and playing with a few more twists, and you usually don't do that in a Tampa 2. So I think they may be looking for an identity also.
Bears showered Tommy Harris with big bucks this offseason, giving the tackle a new contract. Was that the right thing to do?
Unquestionably. Now you've got him locked up for a number of years, and as Hub said, he probably is the best 3 technique tackle in football. Only question about him, can he stay healthy? Obviously, he had injuries the last 2 seasons, and you'd hate to pay a guy all that money and see him get hurt every year. But great player, and I think a key to everything they do defensively. If they're going to continue in this system, they really need a guy like him in the middle.
Anyone here worried about his injury history?
A little bit if it keeps coming back. It seems like he attracts a lot of double teams at the point of attack. Hopefully the other DTs they have now can take some of the pressure off him and maybe do some kind of stunning with the linebackers so they don't chop block him and things like that and hurt him quite as bit. The guy, he did play hard last year, and even towards the end, he tried to get in the backfield so bad he was jumping off sides all the time, trying to anticipate the count. And I used to hate guys like that because, they'd catch the count, and you're like, man, I had to snap. And this guy's blowing right by me. I mean, he's tough. What do they call him? He's the fly in the buttermilk. You know what I mean? You don't want that guy around, you know what I mean? Let's hope he stays healthy.
When he's healthy, he has periods where he's almost unblockable. He really is the dominant force in the middle of that defense. And, you worry about the injuries, even with Brownie, and I hear what you're saying, 3 season-ending but unrelated injuries, different legs, different body parts. Maybe it is just bad luck. What worries me a little bit about Tommy is it's the same injury. It's this knee-hamstring combination. Remember draft in 2004? He was one of the 5 or 6 best players in that draft. Nobody argued that. And much like Warren Sapp a few years earlier, he's fallen and he's fallen. He's sitting there at 14 when the Bears' greatest need is a defensive tackle. There were a couple teams that had a medical on him, and I didn't understand it. It was something about the hamstring and the tendon connect. Now, I'm not saying that's this injury, but there's this in the back of your mind. It's out there, and so the only way it gets answers is if he can play injury-free for a year.
Hub says that this is a great defense with Mike Brown back there. Is it a great defense, Dan?
I think it certainly has the potential to be, yes. You know, if you look at the defensive secondary, I think it's very strong.